Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is my review for the 10th episode of the second season of Batwoman titled Time Off for Good Behavior. The description for the episode says, as Batwoman focuses on taking down Black Mask, a new foe emerges, diverting the team's attention to a distressing issue in Gotham, and Jacob travels down a dangerous path. Although last episode set everything up, this was the official mid-season premiere, and it gave me a lot of hope for the back half of the season because this was such a good episode that dealt with a really important topic and in a really good way. Right from the start, it was already an improvement because Ryan fought the False Face Society and she finally beat them for once. She even threatened Black Mask on TV, although she definitely needs a voice changer. Apparently the False Face dudes are so stupid that they don't even know who their leader is because he always wears a mask, but maybe I gotta stand them if they're gonna keep hurting the crows. Honestly, Black Mask has the right idea, they gotta quit villainizing this man. So this led to what was probably the most interesting material Jacob has ever had, but when we first got flashbacks for him, I was like, why are we wasting time on Jacob? Just kill him off already. Turns out Snakebite is like Scarecrow's fear toxin, but with a twist. It lets people change their memories of their biggest regrets. Falseface got Jacob hooked on it, so he got to see himself as the hero that he never was by saving Beth from Cartwright. Even though it was with Enigma, I'm so glad that he went to therapy because everyone on the show needs it. But my favorite part was when Roman Sionis showed up at Jacob's office to turn in a sample of Snakebite because he knew that Jacob would take it. Roman's the perfect antagonist for Jacob. They're both white rich dudes motivated by the death of their daughters, but Roman blames Jacob and Cade for his daughter's death, which builds an interesting dynamic between them. They're basically giving Jacob Quentin's storyline with his addiction on Arrow. They're also both cops who lost their daughters and had a gay daughter. This convinces me that Jacob is dying at the end of the season. He might try to make up for not saving Beth by sacrificing himself to save Alice or Kate at the end. Well, last episode dealt with the foster care to prison pipeline. This episode dealt with the school to prison pipeline, once again with Ryan and Angie. I love seeing Ryan visit Angie in prison because they have such good chemistry. I can't stop shipping them even though they're toxic. I also love how Angie was jealous because she thought Ryan was sleeping with Batwoman. Why don't other love interests ever think that? It makes sense, and it proves that Ryan should have just told her. Somehow they were already having the grand opening of the community center. That was quick. I guess they just needed Mary's money. Like Jordan said, Ryan and Mary are true heroes. They're already superheroes as part of the Bat team, but now they're also providing real change with the community center and Mary's clinic, which thankfully came back this episode. Everything was going fine until a Gotham Gazette reporter started talking about the lack of security. I'm so glad the doctor called him out. In real life, it's people like him who stop projects like these from happening. It's usually people who've been privileged their whole lives, probably lived in the suburbs, and they have this preconceived assumption about the kids because it's a bad neighborhood, so they don't have faith in them. But how do they know it's not gonna work if they never even give it a chance to happen? They're the problem. They rather have kids stuck in the school to prison pipeline as long as it doesn't affect them, or they benefit from it like the villain of the week. Community centers and outreach programs are necessary to stop at-risk kids, even though I hate that term, from ending up like Angie because it's hard to get out like Ryan. Having cops there literally ruins the whole point. They benefit from that system, and kids are not gonna show up if they know the cops are gonna beat her. It kinda was weird that they seemed to be talking about kids of color, but they used Angie as an example and she's white. So the reporter had a point because the community center was burned down by Walmart Black Lightning. It turned out that the reporter had actually been fired from the Gazette. Community centers and other resources for at-risk kids had been terrorized for a while in order to keep them in the school to prison pipeline, and the reporter started asking the right questions, so he was fired. White Lightning was sent after him to destroy his computer that had evidence, and Mary finally reopened the clinic to take care of him. Meanwhile, Ryan and Luke looked over the lightning gun and they realized that White Lightning had been in jail the whole time. Ryan went to visit him and turns out he's a total jerk, but he pretty much confirmed that it was him without saying it. I was really interested at the moment that this was brought up because I thought that they were going to reveal that the CEO was using prisoners for labor or to do his dirty work, and this is how they would address how prisons are basically modern day slavery, especially because the focus was on POC falling in the pipeline, and I thought that the next person that they were gonna use was Angie. But then we got another scene of Ryan visiting her that ruined my theory because Ryan got Angie to give up the names of the guys who killed Forbes, which doesn't make sense because they're always wearing masks just like Roman, and they said that they don't know who he is, so how does Angie know who they are? The good thing is that Angie was getting out of prison though. Turns out the episode was actually dealing with the problem of for-profit prisons, also called private prisons. Luke realized the footage of White Lightning in jail was fake. Someone let him out, which meant the CEO of the prison was the one behind the attacks. He was letting prisoners out to use them as White Lightning in order to destroy community programs for kids, like Ryan's community center. In exchange, he lets them out on parole using the excuse of time off for good behavior. This asshole wanted the community programs destroyed so that at-risk kids wouldn't get the support they need and they would end up like Angie, which he profits from because then he gets more prisoners. He stopped the reporter from exposing the truth, and of course he succeeded. It's just another rich white man taking down a man of color for his own benefit. Probably the most realistic villain the show has ever had. Ryan went after him and White Lightning showed up, and I'm so glad that once again Ryan was finally beating his ass. There's no kryptonite injury anymore, so no excuses. Then we finally got to see Luke out on the field taking down White Lightning with the other gun. I hope this was a tease to Luke becoming Batwing soon. He was already using technology after all. Come on Caroline, give us Batwing, Flamebird, and Commander Kane. Speaking of Flamebird, Mary finished up caring for the reporter. Although the episode focused on the prison system, they also called out the healthcare system and showed why Mary's clinic is so important. Like so many people, the reporter did not have health insurance at the moment. He'd just been rehired, and in this country your health insurance depends on your employment, so people go without care for this and many other reasons. But thankfully Mary's clinic is there to help. Jordan said it, Mary is already a true hero. She's literally who people say Bruce Wayne should be instead of Batman. She's using her money to create real change in her community with the free clinic. She also funded the community center to help stop crime before it starts, and she runs Kate's Gay Bar, which also serves as a safe space for homeless LGBTQ youth. Even though I want her to become Flamebird, maybe she doesn't need to because she's already such a badass. Unfortunately, Jacob showed up to prove that he's the opposite of her. Enigma told him to deal with his remorse about Beth and Kate by being there for the daughter that he has left. Problem is that he's a shitty dad, so he had to try to fix things with Mary, but like a typical rich person, he thinks that you can just throw money at a problem. He wanted to fund the clinic and turn it into a real for-profit clinic with better equipment and real doctors. First of all, sir, Mary is a real doctor. Jacob doesn't understand that this literally ruins the purpose of the clinic. Mary's clinic serves people that aren't helped by the healthcare system. If it turned into a for-profit clinic, they'd have nowhere to go because now they'd have to require health insurance. Yes, she could use better equipment and more doctors, but not if it means hurting the people that she's trying to help. Now everything seemed to be going fine. The community center was rebuilt, the clinic was back open, there seemed to be something going on between Ryan and the doctor, the reporter got his job back, and Angie was being put into protective custody until Black Mask was gone. The moment that Sophie said that, I felt like somehow he was gonna kidnap Angie, and that's exactly what happened. Right as Angie was calling Ryan and telling her that she finally understood what she sacrificed for her, Falseface attacked the car, killed the crows, and took Angie. I was surprised it happened this fast, and now I'm worried that this is the end for them. Obviously Black Mask needs her to make more Snakebite, but Ryan promised Angie that she would be safe with the crows. She obviously wasn't, and now I'm worried she'd be like Felicity and get mad at Ryan because of that. Then we had Alice's storyline of trying to forget Kate ever existed. It definitely improved this episode, but it still could have been better. I think the best part was having Rachel play off of Christina. It was such an unexpected pairing, but it actually worked really well. I thought they had great chemistry, and I was low-key shipping them. Although I feel like you can ship anyone on the show, everyone just gives off those vibes. Like Ryan and the Doctor, you can't tell me I'm wrong. I was expecting Alice to wipe her mind on her own, but I guess she can't do that herself, so she needed Julia's help in order to track down Enigma, because Julia has also worked with Sophia just like Alice and Enigma. The thing is that ever since she came back, Julia felt like she's been missing some of her memories, and she had a feeling that she already ran into Enigma, and she is the one that wiped her memories during those 6 episodes that she was gone looking for Kate. Obviously, she didn't want to work with Alice at first, but they ended up having a good scene where they reflected on how Kate left both of them for someone else. Eventually, Julia tracked down Enigma, confronted her, and realized that this happened before, and Enigma always wiped her mind. So Enigma took out a needle from her cane and did it again. As a result, Julia told Crowfy that she was transferring to Berlin, and I kept wondering, how is Crowfy so stupid? There's obviously something wrong with Julia. She literally looks high. I love that they already wrote out the whitewash girl again, but just watch her come back in another 6 episodes and be all like, oh no, Kate didn't kill Black Mask's daughter, and Sophia is coming to Gotham for revenge. Speaking of Black Mask, as of right now, he's the big bad, at least that's what the writers have said, but everything that happened with Alice's storyline made me wonder if Enigma is the actual villain, and that's a big twist they're gonna do. We know she changed Julia's memories, so maybe she also planted fake memories in Black Mask's head to make him think that Kate killed his daughter. But she's also helping the Crows take down Black Mask, and she was Jacob's therapist, so she's pretty much involved in everything. It would combine the Sophia and Black Mask storylines, but honestly, I would be very disappointed if that happened. She seems a bit interesting, but last episode did a great job setting up Black Mask. He has so much potential to be an amazing antagonist, and I don't want them to waste it again like they already did with Sophia. Overall, I thought this was another strong episode and a great mid-season premiere, even though it didn't feel like one. Either this episode or the last one have got to be the best episodes of the season so far, and it's no surprise that what they have in common is that they focused on Ryan. The show is at its best when it's about Ryan and it deals with real life or political issues. That's why I'm worried about Kate coming back, since the show has been so good now that they left her storyline behind. The only benefit is that it might help Alice because her story right now hasn't been the best. I love the messages they dealt with this episode and how they managed to make it work perfectly with their storyline. I'm so glad they addressed the problems with the prison system, because while people have been calling out the justice system, they've mostly focused on the police while ignoring the history of racism and corruption in other areas. This is an important problem that's actually happening. Just like in the show, they target communities that have a higher chance of ending up in prison, like at-risk kids. The Correction Corporation of America has literally tried to stop immigration reform from happening so they can increase the number of prisoners. The only problem that I had with it is that they acted like the problem was solved after they took down the CEO, and that's kinda minimizing a real life problem. But overall, I love how they dealt with it. I also like that they managed to mix in something about the healthcare system with Mary's story. Jacob had the most interesting material he's ever had. Ryan was great with Angie, and Alice's story improved. So yeah, it was a really good episode, and I hope they keep it up. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for similar content. Please leave your thoughts on the video or the episode down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Goodbye.